Hey everyone, welcome to the Chilling Hour, where the stories never let you sleep. My name's Eric Dalton. I'm 38 years old, and I've been a long-haul trucker for almost 15 years now. I've seen all kinds of weird things out there on the road. Accidents, storms, wild animals. But what I'm about to tell you, it's something else. Something that still wakes me up in the middle of the night, drenched in sweat, hearing the rumble of a phantom engine in my ears. This happened 3 years ago on a lonely stretch of Highway 50, out in Nevada, the one they call the loneliest road in America. Believe me, that name fits too damn well. It was late October, around 2 a.m., and I was hauling a load of tires from Reno to Kansas City. I'd been driving nearly 10 hours straight, the kind of run where you start losing track of time and everything blurs together, just the white lines, the hum of the engine, and your own tired breathing. My radio had cut out hours before, so all I had for company was the growl of my rig and the empty desert. I remember the moon that night. It was full but hazy, hanging low, like it was struggling to shine through dust or fog. But the weird thing was, there shouldn't have been fog. It was the Nevada desert, dry as bones. Still, I noticed this thin mist curling along the road ahead of me, glowing silver in my headlights. About 20 minutes later, I saw him. At first, I thought it was another trucker. There was a big rig parked on the shoulder, a black Peterbilt, chrome shining faintly in the moonlight. The headlights were on, but the cab lights flickered like dying candles. I slowed down, figuring the guy might be in trouble, maybe out of gas or having engine issues. Truckers look out for each other, you know? I pulled over behind him and grabbed my flashlight. When I stepped out, the air felt colder. Not the usual desert chill. This was sharp, biting, unnatural. I could see my breath fog up as I walked closer. The engine of that black truck was still idling, but there was no movement in the cab. I climbed up on the step, shone my light inside. No one. The driver's seat was empty. But the thing that really hit me, the smell, like burnt rubber mixed with something metallic, almost like old blood. I called out, "Hey driver, you all right?" My voice echoed off the emptiness. Nothing. Then I noticed the door on the passenger side was cracked open just slightly. I walked around to look. There were boot prints leading away from the truck, out into the desert sand. Only, the prints weren't right. They started out normal, heavy and deep, but as they went on, they got lighter, shallower, like whoever was walking just faded away. I turned back to the rig, uneasy. That's when I saw the writing on the back of the trailer. Someone, or something, had smeared words in thick, dark grease. "Keep driving." I felt a chill crawl down my spine. I backed away and decided I wasn't going to stick around to play ghost hunter. I jumped back into my cab and hit the gas hard. As I drove, I kept glancing in the mirrors. That black Peterbilt stayed in the distance, its headlights faint behind me, until they didn't. Because after a while, I realized there were headlights behind me again. Bright ones. Too bright. They appeared out of nowhere in my rearview mirror, flooding my cabin with white light. I thought maybe it was a cop, or another trucker trying to pass, but those lights stayed glued to me, no matter how fast I went. I was pushing 80, then 90, and that son of a bitch stayed right behind me, headlights burning, engine roaring. I got on the CB radio, trying to raise anyone nearby. "Breaker, breaker, this is Big Eagle. You got anyone eastbound on 50? Got a rig tailing me too damn close." Nothing. Static. The lights behind me flickered, just like before, on and off, like someone was toying with me. Then, in one split second, they vanished, gone, like they'd never been there. I slowed down, heart pounding. Maybe I was losing it from exhaustion. I pulled off at the next rest area, a small empty spot with 2 broken vending machines and a single flickering streetlight. I parked, killed the engine, and tried to calm myself. I poured coffee from my thermos, hands shaking so bad I spilled half of it on my jeans. That's when I heard it. A low rumble. Not mine. I had shut my engine off. It came from behind me. I turned, and there it was. The same black Peterbilt, rolling slowly into the rest area, headlights dead, chrome grille shining in the moonlight. The air filled with that same burnt smell. The truck stopped right behind me. I swear on my life, there was no driver in the cab. The seat was empty. The engine idled on its own, growling like some living thing. I could see steam rising from the hood, and the passenger door creaked open. I didn't wait to find out more. I jumped back into my truck and floored it out of there, tires squealing. My whole rig shuddered as I tore down the highway again, pushing the pedal to the floor. In my mirror, I saw that black truck following me again. No headlights, just a dark silhouette roaring after me. The road was a blur, my pulse pounding in my ears. I remember screaming at the radio, at myself, at God, anything. Then suddenly, I hit something. A shape appeared in front of my truck, like a figure standing right in the middle of the road. I jerked the wheel hard to the right. My trailer fishtailed, tires screaming. I felt my rig slam into the dirt shoulder, metal scraping, before everything went black. When I came to, it was morning. The sun was just rising, painting the desert in gold. My truck was half in a ditch, the windshield cracked, my head bleeding a little. I crawled out, groaning. But there was something strange. There were no skid marks on the road, no sign of another truck, not even tire tracks from where that black Peterbilt had been. My CB radio was completely dead, as if it had never worked at all. I stumbled back onto the road and flagged down a passing car, an old man driving a dusty Chevy. He helped me get to a diner about 20 miles up. When I told him what happened, he got real quiet. "You saw it, didn't you?" he said. "Saw what?" I asked. He looked at me, eyes tired and serious. "The ghost trucker." He told me that years ago, back in the 1970s, a trucker had died on that same stretch of Highway 50, a young guy named Jack Mercer. Story goes, he'd fallen asleep at the wheel and crashed his black Peterbilt into a ravine after swerving to avoid hitting a stranded family. The truck exploded, took him with it. Ever since, drivers have reported seeing a black rig haunting the road, especially on foggy nights. Some say he tries to warn others to keep driving, to not stop, because stopping is what killed him. Others say he's just looking for company. I didn't believe in ghosts before that night. I do now. A few weeks later, I went back to the same route. Had no choice, it was my assigned run. But I'll tell you this, I never drive it after dark anymore. One night, though, I got delayed by weather and ended up near that same stretch around midnight. I was tense, trying not to look in the mirrors too much. Then, from somewhere far behind, I heard it. The faint rumble of a diesel engine, rolling through the empty desert. I told myself it was just another driver, tried to ignore it. But as the sound grew louder, I could smell it again, that same burnt rubber and metal stink. My hands gripped the wheel so tight they ached. Then, for just a second, I looked in the mirror. 2 white headlights blinked on behind me, and between them, I swear I saw a face. Pale, eyes hollow, looking right at me. I blinked, and the lights vanished. I pulled over at the next rest stop and waited until sunrise before moving again. Every time I take that highway, I feel it, the weight of something unseen riding the wind beside me. Sometimes I'll catch a shadow in the rear view or a whisper on the radio when there shouldn't be any signal. Once, I heard a voice, crackly and distant, say, "Keep driving." I don't know if he's protecting me or warning me, but I know he's real. I still drive trucks for a living, but I keep a charm my daughter gave me hanging on the mirror, a little silver cross. I don't know if it works, but I like to think it does. Because out there on those endless highways, with nothing but the hum of your own engine and the emptiness around you, sometimes you're not as alone as you think. And when you see headlights in the distance, you'd better hope they belong to someone living. Because some truckers never stop driving. Story, the end.
Story number 2.
My name is Travis Cole. I'm 43 years old, and I've been driving trucks for almost half my life. Long hauls, overnight routes, the kind that keep you on the road when the rest of the world's asleep. You see some strange things out there. Lonely gas stations, flickering motel lights, fog rolling over blacktop. But what happened to me one night on I-70 in western Kansas still makes my hands shake when I touch a steering wheel. It was November of 2014. I was hauling a load of furniture from Denver to St. Louis. Nothing out of the ordinary. Clear sky, mild cold, maybe mid-40s. I left Denver late in the afternoon, planning to drive until around midnight, stop at a rest area, and catch some sleep. I'd driven that route dozens of times, knew every exit and rest stop like the back of my hand. Somewhere east of Oakley, around 11:30 p.m., I realized I hadn't seen another vehicle for miles. The CB was dead silent, not even a lonely voice from a convoy or a pickup. The moon was out, big and bright, and the plains stretched empty on both sides of the highway. That's when I saw the truck. It came out of nowhere in my rear view, a pair of yellowish headlights bouncing in the distance, closing fast. I figured it was another hauler pushing to make up time. But as it drew closer, I saw it wasn't like any truck I'd seen before. The cab looked older, maybe from the 70s, dull chrome and a square hood that gleamed oddly in the moonlight. It didn't have any company markings, and its trailer was pitch black. No reflectors, no numbers, nothing. Just black metal swallowing light. It pulled up behind me, tailgating close enough that I could see the cab lights flickering like candles. I grabbed my CB mic and said, "Hey, partner, you're riding my bumper. You want to back off a bit?" Nothing, not even static. I slowed down, hoping he'd pass, but the truck matched my speed exactly. I tapped the brakes, dropped to 50, then 45. Still there. That's when my stomach started to twist. The engine noise behind me wasn't right. It was deeper, like a growl mixed with metal grinding on metal. Finally, I pulled into an old rest area about 5 miles down. The lot was empty except for a single dim light flickering above the bathrooms. I parked, cut my engine, and looked behind me. The road was empty. No truck, no lights, nothing. I sat there for a while, trying to convince myself I was tired, seeing things. Then I got out to stretch my legs. The cold air hit hard, and the prairie was silent. No wind, no bugs, not even the usual hum of highway noise. Just dead quiet. I walked toward the restroom, and that's when I noticed something strange. In the dust along the edge of the lot were deep tire tracks, big ones like from an 18-wheeler. But they didn't come in from the highway. They just started in the middle of the lot and ended behind my trailer, like the truck had appeared out of thin air. I told myself maybe they'd been there before, maybe from some other driver, but my gut said otherwise. Back in the cab, I locked the doors, shut the curtains, and tried to sleep. Sometime after midnight, I woke to the sound of an engine idling nearby. Deep, steady rumbling through the ground. I peeked out the curtain, and there it was. The same black truck parked beside me. Its headlights were off, but its running lights burned a dull, sickly orange. I couldn't see anyone in the cab, though the window was down. The idling kept rising and falling, like the truck was breathing. I grabbed the CB again, whispering, "Hey, whoever's out there, this ain't funny." No response. Then the truck's engine stopped. Silence. A few seconds later, I heard heavy footsteps crunching gravel outside my door. Slow, dragging steps circling my cab. I froze, hand on my knife, listening. The footsteps stopped just below my window. I held my breath. Then something tapped on the glass. 3 slow, deliberate knocks. I didn't look. I couldn't. After what felt like forever, the footsteps moved away, and I heard the other truck's engine roar back to life. I dared to look out. It was pulling toward the exit, but as it rolled under the dim light, I caught a clear look at its license plate. Just a blank metal slab. No numbers, no state, nothing. Then it vanished onto the highway. The next morning, I checked around the rest area. Fresh tire tracks beside me, leading straight toward the exit. But there were no tracks entering from the highway, none leading in. Just those same deep grooves like something heavy had materialized, idled, then left. I thought about calling the cops, but what could I say? A ghost truck followed me? They'd laugh me off. So I kept driving. The day passed fine, clear skies again, until around dusk, when I hit a stretch of construction near Salina. Traffic slowed, and that's when I saw it again. In the mirror, that same black rig, a quarter-mile back, creeping along behind the line of cars. I swear it wasn't there seconds before. I tried to ignore it, kept my eyes on the road, but the longer I drove, the closer it got. Then, right as we hit an open stretch, it sped up and swung into the left lane. It pulled up alongside me, and for a few moments, we were side by side. That's when I saw the driver. He wasn't wearing a hat or glasses, just a pale, drawn face with eyes that looked wrong. Too dark, too deep. He turned his head slowly toward me and smiled. His teeth looked like rusted metal. I looked away, heart pounding, but when I glanced back, the cab was empty. No driver. The steering wheel moved on its own as the truck drifted ahead of me. Then it started to swerve. Hard left, then right, like it was trying to force me off the road. I hit the brakes, horn blaring, but the black truck veered back into the lane ahead of me. And then it vanished. No smoke, no skid marks, just gone. I pulled over again, shaking so hard I couldn't hold my coffee. I thought maybe I was losing it, hallucinating from fatigue. I checked my dash cam later that night when I stopped in Topeka. The footage showed the road, my headlights, everything, except there was no truck. But there was something else. When I paused the video at the exact moment, I remembered seeing that face. I saw a shape flicker across the lens, a dark, human-like outline with two glowing eyes staring straight into the camera. After that, I refused to drive at night for weeks. But truckers can't afford to be scared of shadows, and I eventually convinced myself it had been exhaustion, tricks of the light, maybe an old nightmare creeping up. Until last year, I was hauling a shipment to Oklahoma, passing through that same Kansas stretch. Different rig, same route. Around midnight, my radio crackled to life. A low, broken voice came through the static. "Breaker 19? You still out here, Travis?" I froze. I hadn't given my name on that frequency in years. "Who is this?" I asked. The voice crackled again. "You left me back there, rest area. You shouldn't have stopped." I dropped the mic, heart slamming in my chest. The voice kept repeating, softer and softer. "You shouldn't have stopped." I floored it, tearing down the highway, scanning my mirrors. Sure enough, half a mile back, those same dim orange running lights. I didn't stop until dawn. When I finally rolled into a truck stop near Wichita, I told another driver what had happened. He went pale and asked if I was joking. When I said no, he told me something I'll never forget. He said truckers around those parts talk about a phantom hauler, an old Peterbilt that roams the I-70 plains at night. Supposedly, it belonged to a driver named Clay Burrows, who died in a wreck back in the late 70s. He'd fallen asleep at the wheel and plowed into a rest area, killing a family sleeping in their car. They say he was burned alive in the crash. The wreck happened not far from Oakley, the same rest area where I stopped. According to legend, Clay still drives that stretch, hunting other truckers who pull over at his spot, as if he's trying to warn them or drag them down with him. I laughed it off at first, but later I looked up the accident. It was real. 1978, a Peterbilt 359, black trailer, no markings. The driver's name? Clay Burrows. That night, I dreamed of headlights coming up behind me, getting brighter and brighter until everything turned white. When I woke, I was drenched in sweat, the sound of an engine rumbling in my ears. Since then, I don't drive that route anymore. I take the long way, even if it costs me hours. But sometimes, when I'm hauling through other states, Nevada, Texas, even Ohio, I'll see a pair of dull yellow headlights appear in the distance. They never stay long, never get close. Just hang there on the horizon until I blink, and they're gone. Maybe it's just another trucker. Maybe it's the wind playing tricks, but every time I pull into a rest area, I check the dirt for tire tracks that start but don't lead anywhere. I've talked to other drivers who've seen him. One said the black truck followed him all the way from Utah to Kansas before vanishing near the same rest area. Another said he woke up in the middle of the night to knocking on his cab window, but when he looked out, the parking lot was empty except for the smell of diesel and burnt rubber. A few years back, a rookie driver disappeared along that stretch. His rig was found idling at the side of the road, headlights still on, doors locked from the inside. The dashcam footage cut out at exactly 11:37 p.m., the same time I first saw that truck. The last frame showed two faint orange lights in the mirror. No one ever found him. Now, every time I hit the open road at night, I can't help but look in the rearview mirror. I half expect to see that same faceless cab creeping up behind me, humming that low metallic growl. There's something out there on those highways, something old, angry, and restless. Maybe it's the ghost of a driver who can't stop running his route. Maybe it's something worse. But if you're ever out there, alone on I-70 in the middle of the night, and you see a black rig with no markings, no plate, and sickly orange lights, don't honk. Don't flash your beams. Don't even look at it. Just keep driving. Story the end.
Story number 3.
My name's Derek Lawson. I'm 42 years old, and I've been a long-haul truck driver for nearly 2 decades. I've seen a lot out there on the road. Strange things, lonely nights, accidents that make you question why you ever took the job in the first place. But what I'm about to tell you, I still can't explain it. It happened 3 years ago, somewhere along Highway 191 in Arizona. People say the desert plays tricks on your mind. But this wasn't a trick. This was something else. Something that wanted me to see it. It was around midnight, and I'd been driving since dawn. My haul was simple, farm equipment headed to Tucson. I was running behind schedule because of a blown tire outside Moab, so I pushed through the night to make up time. That stretch of the 191 is desolate. Miles of empty road, scattered cactus, and the occasional flicker of light from a gas station that's been closed for years. My CB radio was silent, the GPS screen glowing dim blue on the dash, and classic rock humming low from the radio just to keep me awake. About 50 miles north of Chinle, I saw the first sign of something wrong. Up ahead, a figure stood on the shoulder of the road, just barely visible in my headlights. A woman, I thought. She was wearing what looked like a white dress, but it was hard to tell. It looked dusty, maybe even torn. I slowed down, thinking maybe her car had broken down. You don't leave anyone stranded out there at night. It's a death sentence. As I pulled closer, something about her made my stomach tighten. She wasn't flagging me down, just standing there, facing the road. Her head tilted slightly, hair hanging loose and long, unmoving, even though the desert wind was blowing sand across the highway. I hit my high beams. She was barefoot. Her skin looked pale, almost gray, like ash. Her eyes, her eyes were wide open, staring straight into the light, but not blinking. I remember the way they reflected, like glass marbles. I slowed down to a crawl, maybe 5 miles an hour, but something in me screamed, "Don't stop." I eased my foot off the brake and rolled past her, trying not to look but unable to help myself. As my truck passed, I could see her face clearly in the side mirror. Her mouth moved like she was whispering something, but I couldn't hear a word. Then my CB radio crackled. "Help me." I froze. The voice was faint, female, broken by static. I grabbed the mic. "This is Big D. Come again?" Nothing, just static. Then again, fainter. "Help me." I looked in my rearview mirror. The woman was gone, not walking away, not fading, just gone. I tried to shake it off. I told myself I was tired, dehydrated, maybe hallucinating. Happens to drivers sometimes when you push too long without sleep. I took a swig of water, muttered to myself, "You're fine, Derek. Just keep rolling." But about 10 miles later, I started feeling that heavy pressure in my chest, like something was sitting on me. My headlights flickered once, then steadied. The air in the cab turned cold, colder than the desert night had any right to be. I could see my breath. Then came the knocking. 3 slow, heavy knocks on the passenger side door. I jumped, nearly swerving off the road. I looked over. No one there. The window was fogged from the inside, even though I hadn't turned the heat on. I wiped it with my sleeve, and for just a second, I saw a handprint. Small, pale, on the outside of the glass. I slammed on the gas and didn't look back. For the next hour, I drove like a man possessed. Every shadow on the road looked like someone standing there. The desert felt alive, watching. I started talking out loud just to keep my mind anchored. Then I saw the truck stop. It was a flicker of light in the distance. An old place I'd passed once before called Red Mesa Gas and Diner. Looked like something out of the 70s, faded neon and rusting signs. I figured I'd stop there, get some coffee, shake off whatever was happening. But when I pulled in, something didn't add up. The place looked wrong. There were trucks parked outside, sure, but they were old, decades old. One had a license plate that looked like it was from 1974. The lights inside were dim, like candles. Still, I parked and went in. A bell jingled over the door as I stepped inside. The air smelled of dust and gasoline. There were a few people sitting at the counter, all facing away from me. A waitress in a faded uniform turned and smiled, her teeth yellowed, her eyes distant. "Coffee?" she asked. I nodded, trying to act normal. "Yeah, long night." She poured the coffee. The mug was chipped. I took a sip and spat it out. It was cold, ice cold. That's when I noticed something. The people at the counter weren't moving. Not one of them. They just sat there, staring down at their empty plates. The one closest to me had a hole in the back of his shirt. a dark stain around it. Then the jukebox in the corner started playing, an old Hank Williams song, but it was warped, like the record was melting. The waitress looked at me again, only now her eyes were completely black. "Should have stopped for her," she said. My heart nearly stopped. "What?" "You left her there," she whispered, leaning in close. "She's still waiting on the road." I backed up, knocking the mug to the floor. The sound didn't shatter like glass. It echoed, long and hollow. I turned for the door, but the moment I pushed it open, I wasn't at the diner anymore. I was back on the highway. My truck was parked in the middle of the road, engine still running. My hands were shaking on the wheel, and the digital clock on the dash blinked 3:03 a.m. I looked around, nothing, just desert and silence. Then I saw her again. In the headlights, standing dead center of the lane, about 50 feet ahead. Same white dress, same stillness. But now her face wasn't blank. She was smiling. Her lips moved again, slow, deliberate. I could read them this time. "You came back." I shifted into reverse, but before I could hit the gas, she was at my window. No footsteps, no blur. Just there, her face inches from mine, eyes black, her mouth twisted wide. She screamed. The sound didn't come through my ears, it was inside my head, like metal scraping bone. I covered my ears, shouted, "Get out! Get out!" And then, silence. The cab was empty. She was gone. I sat there for a long time, shaking. My GPS screen had gone dark. My radio was dead. I turned the key to restart the truck, and it wouldn't even click. Finally, I opened the door and stepped out. The desert air hit me, dry and sharp. That's when I saw the road marker. It said mile 66. But the weird thing? There isn't a mile 66 on Highway 191. When morning came, a local sheriff found me still sitting there, engine cold. He asked if I was all right, said I looked like I'd seen a ghost. I told him what happened. Well, part of it. The woman on the road, the strange diner, the voice. He looked at me, then nodded slow. "People see her sometimes," he said. "Woman in white, hitchhiker from the 70s. Truck flipped over near Chinley. Driver swore he saw her before he went off the road. No one ever found the body." He paused. "Truck stop you mentioned? Red Mesa? Burned down in 1978. Killed everyone inside." I didn't say anything, just stared at the horizon. I've been back on that route since then. Once. I take different highways now, avoid that stretch when I can. But one night, a few months ago, I was fueling up outside Gallup when another driver walked in. Old guy, gray beard, weathered face. He looked at me and said, "You ever seen her?" I froze. "Who?" He smirked, slow and knowing. "The girl on 191. She likes truckers, especially the ones who leave her behind." Then he walked out without paying for his coffee. Every time I drive at night now, I keep my lights low. I don't stop for anyone. Doesn't matter if it's a woman, a kid, or a broken down car. Out there, between the dark and the dust, not everything that waves you down is alive. And sometimes when I pass a long, empty stretch of desert, I can feel her, right there in the passenger seat, waiting, whispering, "Why didn't you stop?" Story the end.